Paul, I didn't think we'd see you so soon again for another $1 trillion company, but this is a major milestone in many ways. It's not just psychological.
No, and I think it's also, just an amazing testament to the growth of e-commerce globally. What are the biggest bullish call on Amazon has historically been, I'm not really sure what Jeff Bezos is up to. I'm not really sure what he's spending all his money on, and I'm not too concerned that I'm not getting near-term profits. What I'm betting on is a growth of global e-commerce as it grows from 6 to 7 to 8 to 9% of total global consumer sales. And so as that continues to grow, and most investors feel like that percentage of e-commerce will continue to grow as a percentage of retail sales, the best way to play it has been and continues to be Amazon.
So is this just one big macro trade then, or are investors actually looking at Jeff Bezos and his concrete plans for, this portion of things and, for the Amazon branded, the home branded portion of things, or again, is it just a big macro play?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much of a big macro play. Now, there are a lot of little subplots there. There the growth of the cloud business for Amazon, which has really been the profit driver of the company. There's also their increased investments in the media side of the business as they try to grow their Amazon Prime business beyond 100 million members, and all the big investments they're making in Hollywood on programming and so on. And then there's, they get into all these different verticals, whether it's the grocery business and so on and so forth. So I think people look at Amazon and say, what part of the economy are they going to target next? It's one thing to just think about discretionary retail sales, but it's another thing when you look at groceries, or maybe you look at healthcare or financial services or other areas like that. So I think people look at Amazon as an agent of change, as a disruptor for many industries. Many remain to be seen. We'll see where Jeff Bezos chooses to go next. But what's amazing is the tremendous growth and cash flows of this company, which can be redeployed wherever Jeff wants to put them, and his investor base seems very comfortable with placing bets with Jeff Bezos and that management team.
And is that why we're not really seeing a peak in this stock? I mean, the average price target right now at $2,100, and we've got a street high of $2,500 from Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, I think, again, a lot of investors are saying, geez, I can just sit back and make this a play on the growth of e-commerce, and that could be a long runway that could be another 10 or 15 years. But there's also many other bets that this company is placing, again, whether it's in cloud computing or in media, there's just an article today in the Journal about advertising sales becoming a big part of the business for Amazon. So it just seems like there are lots of different drivers for this company longer term.
What about competition? I mean, when you look at the totality of this company as a whole, it kind of seems like the apex predator. I mean, there really is nothing, it seems, that can really compare. I mean, is there a company out there that you can think can challenge Amazon across some of these different businesses as a whole?
Yeah, I think Alibaba might be a good place to start. It's kind of, when Alibaba came public, again, the arguably called or referred to as the Amazon, or even the Amazon and or Google of China. And Alibaba, obviously, they are a major player in China, which is arguably one of the greatest growth market to be in if you're an entrenched player. But they also have global aspirations as well. And Jack Ma from Alibaba has said that he would like at some point half of their revenue to come from outside of China. To the extent that that does happen, then they will be going head to head against Amazon in the U.S. and some of the other European markets where Amazon's big.
What are the major risks to Amazon, Paul? I mean, it has 575,000 employees. Could labor costs be a risk?
Yeah, I think, most of their labor costs are generally on the lower end. But I think some of the bigger issues for them is just kind of, do they ever place, a sizable bet that goes wrong? And they have not yet done that. They've generally really stuck to their knitting. And when they do make investments in media or in cloud, it tends to be incremental. But I think, to the extent that they really want to become more of a global player and really penetrate more into Asia, maybe even to China, some of their international growth aspirations may carry a higher level of risk than what they've already achieved here in the U.S. and Western Europe.
Well, that's an interesting point, because, I mean, they still get about 60% or so of their revenue from U.S. North America, right, more or less. So when you talk about the competition with Alibaba, which I would assume has a much bigger footprint in China and just the greater Asia region, then does that maybe give Amazon maybe a little bit of a disadvantage as we sort of look at what their next sort of growth spurts?
Yeah, I think to the extent that they want to go in China per se, and really make a big investment there, then that will be a completely different, ball game than what they've done in their existing markets to date. I mean, China has not only Alibaba, but JD.com and some other major online players. So to the extent that they really want to gain a significant market share in China, that would be seen as a much riskier proposition position than what they've done to date. But I think, again, I think most bulls feel pretty comfortable that there are a lot of other levers that this company can pull over the longer term that can drive growth, in addition to just the overall macro call, as Vani was talking about, in terms of e-commerce as a percentage of total retail sales. And that continues to be a very bullish story, I think, for most investors.